Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Denver versus the Clippers. We're going to talk about what happened kind of in the end of Game 2 in particular and what it means for the future of this series. So let's go. The first thing we're talking about is from the Clippers' perspective. The Clippers wanted to try and target Jokić. They think Jokić is the slowest defender on defense. They want to get after him. Okay, so temporarily, Denver says we're going to hedge Jokić so that way Jamal Murray can recover. What this temporarily does is leave Zubac open, puts a lot of pressure on Aaron Gordon. He now has to guard both Zubac coming downhill and also Kawhi Leonard. Okay, so James Harden recognizes this, gets the ball into the middle, and now Zubac has the choice, do I go up with the layup? Aaron Gordon's there with good defense, and so Kawhi Leonard is the one that's open here. Ideally, in this situation, you'd have a Russell Westbrook kind of splitting these two defenders, but Westbrook is not on that same page. You get a kick out, and you get a clean look at a three, and this is not what Denver wants to give up on defense. And then here we have the same concept for the Clippers, but this is actually Denver did, I think, a very good job. So here we have ball screen. Jokić is going to put two on the ball, or have two on the ball here temporarily, which means Zubac is going to be open in the middle. Okay, they make the right read, throw it in the middle. Michael Porter Jr. does a great job. He steps up. You can see Aaron Gordon right here. Instead of being just with Kawhi, he splits these two defenders, which means he's able to react when you have a cut to the rim, which again I like on both parties, and he's in a position where he can defend this ball. And so this was much better defense by Denver right here. But I mean, simply one of the storylines is just going to be Kawhi played very, very well in this game, and he had a lot of situations where he's matched up one-on-one like this, and this is like Aaron Gordon that's tremendous defense, and that's just a great shot by Kawhi. But then I think the real interesting aspects happen with Denver on offense. So I'm going to call these two categories are like choreographed or set plays and non-choreographed. This would be one of the ones that's calm, controlled, and not a lot of randomness. Okay, so Jokić waits for Russell to clear out so that way you have a defender that goes with him. And so the Clippers actually in this situation, I think Powell probably should be playing help defense so he can go double Jokić because you have James Harden right here, but he decides to go box out Russell Westbrook, and so Jokić is working one-on-one, and Jokić working one-on-one is definitely an advantage for Denver. So almost the exact same situation here, just on the opposite side of the court. Okay, we're getting Jokić the ball one-on-one. Is double going to come? Is double not going to come? We can see that we have spacing on the perimeter, and that is what gives Jokić the freedom work, and that is exactly what you want. Now you can have one person cut, but the key is not having a congested middle and allow Jokić to play one-on-one and force Zubac to guard him. However, a lot of the possessions in these last 5 minutes or so showed actually the opposite of this. We saw a lot of, I think, ill-timed decisions by Denver. Okay, so Jokić makes his move because everyone's cleared out. However, Christian Brown stops right here. Now, the issue with stopping right here is you already have Aaron Gordon who's going to cut to the middle. What this allows is Dunn, who played tremendous defense for the record, is able to essentially split both of them and force Jokić to have the double, and then also Dunn is trying to read his eyes in a very short amount of space to try and make the right read. And the issue is you have too much going on in a confined area. You have three players for Denver, and because they're not spread out, you can also have those three players for the Clippers and have nobody open. Okay, so not only can Jokić not get a shot up because he has the double, but now you can't even have a cut because Braun stopped right here instead of migrating back out here to the perimeter where frankly he'd be open right now. He'd be wide open. However, it forces Jokić to try and force in a pass, and it leads to a turnover. Very similar situation here. Here off the little ball screen, we're going to see Jokić get the kick out. So the first thing is I want Jokić to shoot this ball. I know he shot the ball more in this game, but he's such a good shooter. If you have him where they're late like this, shoot the ball. Okay, that being said, he doesn't shoot the ball, and so we have one-on-one. So right now you have Kawhi, undersized, extremely undersized versus Jokić. And so this is a huge advantage, and he's driving downhill, he's posting up. He's going to create this advantage. And Michael Porter Jr., I don't understand this. He cuts down to the baseline and makes it so Jokić now no longer has this space because Powell is able to guard him and play defense right here. And Jokić has to pick it up early and make it so it's a more difficult shot than it could have been if you would have had spacing and no other defenders in the paint and him able to work one-on-one like that. But instead, Porter, I don't really like the cut by Porter. I want him to space the floor. And he gets the rebound here, so that's good and all that, but space the floor, give your best player Jokić room to work. And then finally, this is on one of the last possessions. This comes at an extremely costly time. Jokić is going to drive one-on-one, and so we see James Harden. That means somebody should be open. The issue is right now, Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon, they're not set, so they're both kind of going into the same area. And then as Russell migrates up here, Brown is like, well, Jokić maybe needs somewhere to pass. And so he migrates to the exact same spot that Russell was and brings his defender with him. And this is like, it's difficult at the time because he's looking at Jokić. He's not looking at Russell. But having like a set organization of where everyone's supposed to be is crucial so that way you can avoid bringing a defender into the way of Jokic's pass. And so this is difficult in the spur of the moment, but it's another self-inflicted wound by Denver of cutting at the wrong time or being in the wrong space close to others. And then finally, two self-inflicted wounds I think are extremely crucial here. One, we see the aggressive trap essentially off this ball screen. And so Jamal Murray, I think he kind of forces passes a little bit sometimes, and I think this would qualify. This wasn't picked off by Kawhi, but it was close. And then the result is even more frustrating. And that's like, at this point in the game, missing that shot is brutal. And then the last one that really frustrated me is Denver plays good defense here. They work to make sure that Michael Porter Jr. is not on Kawhi, send Christian Braun, force a difficult shot. That's great defense. And they get the rebound. And Michael Porter Jr. is looking to outlet to Aaron Gordon, I think, right here. But Aaron Gordon's not facing the right way. And so that quick decision to pass it and then not pass it leads to a turnover. And then even more frustrating is when they're on the ground right here, the Clippers look to attack on offense, and Michael Porter Jr. just kind of stays down and realizes it's important way too late. But at that point, you have 4-on-5, and the Clippers are able to get a great look. I mean, at that point in the game, like, you just got to get up. Like, you got to, not turn the ball over, but then you got to get up on defense. That's brutal for Denver's perspective. But that being said, overall, I am still optimistic. I think Denver's playing pretty well by and large. I think Jokić is playing extremely well, and I think the surrounding cast is playing decent enough that I still think that Denver's going to win this series, but I do think it's going to be close. As I said before, I think they're both two fairly good teams, and I look forward to seeing how the rest of the series plays out. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe, and most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.